Hollow Knight Silksong is out after what feels like an eternity. I played this game in 2019 at the last E3 that ever happened, and I recall back then being like, "Oh, this is actually a lot further along than I thought." Because I think Team Cherry had already said by then that this was going to be its own game. It was no longer like an expansion or DLC,
Mm.
and what I played there turns out was basically just like the first half an hour of the game because I pretty much
Mm.
saw exactly what I saw in those demos very early on. So it explains why this took another, what, 6, almost 7 years to
Mm.
come out. This game is really good.
That's good, yeah.
I've only played a couple of hours because I've had to bounce onto other things, but I've really enjoyed my time so far, and it's kind of capturing the things that I really liked about Hollow Knight in general. It's just the sense of exploration and discovering this world that just like keeps growing and growing and
Mm.
growing, and I just really enjoy seeing all these different biomes and different areas
Mm.
and how detailed they are. It's a really beautiful game, and you
Yeah.
can tell a lot of work went into handcrafting each of these screens that
Mm.
you see. But I also think that, while it feels very distinctly Hollow Knight, it feels like a lot more of that. I
Mm.
think Hornet offers up a different move set and a different sort of pace to the game that makes it feel
Mm.
quite different in action.
Yeah.
So, for example, she has a completely, no, I wouldn't say completely different move set to the vessel, but one of the big changes she has is she has like a diagonal downward attack as opposed to like
Mm.
a pogo vertical attack, which I've personally had some trouble getting used to, especially
Mm.
in combat, because I just end up whiffing and missing a lot of enemies.
Mm.
But I love how, you jump between platforms and she does a little hop onto them.
Mm.
She feels very nimble in the air, and she's got a lot of cool movement abilities that you unlock very early in the
Mm.
game that just like expand your repertoire both in combat and some pretty challenging traversal,
Mm.
which I've enjoyed wrapping my head around. So
Mm.
yeah, overall, I'm having a good time. I'd love to hear your thoughts because you've played actually a significant
I've
chunk
played,
of
yeah.
the game, I think.
I'm very interested to know. I haven't seen what the playtime, like what is the average duration to reach credit. But I've
Mm.
played 15 hours ish. And man, in those 15 hours, I've seen and done a lot already. So, I mean, you mentioned before we started recording, Hollow Knight was like 30 ish hours, let's say.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just remember from that game the same thing of like, I don't know much about this game. I don't know how long it is. Like I'm 15 hours and I must nearly be done. Surely,
Mm.
I can't be that far. And just the way that game kept getting bigger and bigger in the best way. I'm like, I think I'm kind of getting towards it. I'm like, oh no, okay, there's this part of the map I've unlocked. Oh no, this leads to a whole. Oh my god, zoom out. The map is just huge, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And I'm getting that exact same sense here where I agree with you. It feels like it's Hollow Knight, but it's refined in a lot of ways. Like, not that there's anything wrong with Hollow Knight. It just feels like there's just an extra level of polish that you
Mm-hmm.
can see. They're using those 7 years. And I've got that thing where, I mean, the one evening I played from like maybe 2 or 3 hours. And in those 2 or 3 hours alone, I found like 5 or 6 areas new. And I was like,
Damn.
holy. It was a thing of I hit a new area. I'm like, oh, okay, like I need to come back. I'll come back to this area. Let me just go finish exploring this area. In that other area,
Mm-hmm.
stumble upon another area. I'm like, okay, I'll come back to this. I just want to finish.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had that in spades. And I was just like, whoa, it's exactly the same thing where it just keeps getting big in the best ways. And then how some areas fold into themselves as like, oh, like I've popped out here. That's cool.
Mm.
It's just been such a joy to explore. And again, you can see the level of 7 years paid off. Just the level of detail in each frame. I mean, you're looking at the forefront, obviously, where the action's happening. But if you look at the background and the animations and the things happening in the background, and just these little touches, the sound effects, probably one of my favorite things in this game. There's so much care and craft into every little aspect of Farloom. Um, it's been really, really fun to play. And in terms of movements, Hollow Knight really good, but even just right out the gate, one of the first things you get with Hornets is her dash, but it's
Mm.
like a sprint. And it just makes
Yeah.
getting around, it just feels so much fun. You know, when you
The
start
little
dashing,
like jump you can
Yeah.
launch yourself with on a sprint just feels so good. Yeah.
Initially, I was like, "Oof!" Like they're giving it to us so early. Like, how
Yeah,
could they
because
do
I remember
this?
in Hollow Knight you got it. It was like your third or fourth ability,
Yeah,
the
the
dash.
dash, but
It
even
wasn't
then,
early.
it was like movements, not in a bad way, but movement still felt static because the vessel didn't move particularly fast. You like ended up
Yes.
dashing to like cover distance quickly. Here it's like, oh, I'm gonna backtrack quickly to get something. You just like sprint and you like do it relatively quickly. Once you've got like a map open and you know where to go, it's actually surprisingly quick to get across. You know, if you're not dying to all the million enemies on the way. But yeah, it's been such a joy to explore, and I do wonder how long the game is because I've done and seen a lot, and I've only played 15 hours. I'm like, oh my god, what else do they have in store in this game? Although granted, in that time, I spent a lot of time doing side quests, which I feels maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hollow Knight did have side stuff, but it was less formal. It's kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
you need to go do this thing. But here in Silksong, there's an actual thing in your menu. You can go like, okay, you've promised somebody you're going to do this. This is what you need to do.
Yeah, it's like tracked for you.
Yeah.
I mean, Hollow Knight had one of the big side quests was rescuing all those little caterpillars stuck in jars. I remember that. There's like a similar one here with I think they're like fleas if I'm not mistaken.
AK dogs.
Oh yeah, fluffy dogs. But there's also like a bounty board in the main city that you can just grab side quests for and get rewards. I think the side quests are fairly simple. It's like go here, kill X number of enemies and pick up, you know. But you get some cool rewards from them, and it's just something to do while you're exploring the world, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of similarities to Hollow Knight. I think in terms of structure, it will feel very similar, and some of the areas that people felt a bit annoyed about are still here, but I think some of them have been smoothed over a little bit. So like the big one to me is the map system. I know a lot of people don't like this map system, especially from Hollow Knight. And I think a lot of it has been improved here. I find it's a lot easier to find the merchant who gives you maps
100%.
and very quick to buy the maps. You also have different pins that you can use on the map to like mark special areas or automatically mark benches and merchants, which was also in the first game. I think the biggest thing that slightly, well, not like irritates me, but I don't feel like it should have been done this way is having the compass take up a slot in your inventory. I know it was like that in the first game, but I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't get it because like I bought it, I equipped it, and I highly doubt I'll ever unequip it. So it just feels like I've now like burnt an equipment slot that I'll never use for something that I think should just be a standard feature. Like I want to know where I am on the map. I don't think that should be, you know, contingent on like something that I've equipped. So that's the only thing that I feel like they should have just learned from first game. Just give that as an innate ability or something that you purchase similar to the quill that always, you know, it maps out areas you've been to automatically. I don't have to have that.
Thank God you don't have to equip that.
Yeah, could you imagine? It would be insane.
Yeah, that'd be.
So I think the compass should have been like that, but it's not too terrible when you consider like how much more flexible you can be with Hornet in terms of like builds. You have way more options to choose from in terms of like abilities that you want to use and special abilities and charms that you equip to like empower yourself in different ways. I think there's way more here to kind of make her play the way you want rather than the vessel who was, I think, quite limited in that regard.
I think I agree with you. There's definitely more tools, but I don't know. There's this. Maybe I'm misremembering, but in Hollow Knight, it was a pin system, right? Where you had like you could equip a number of passives and things. It feels like even in my opening 15 hours, I've got stuff, but I remember in Hollow Knight you could almost do like a build where it's like, okay, if you equip this pin, you get more like soul, whatever, from attacking enemies, or if you get hit, you'll like a gas cloud will come out of you that will damage enemies, for example, whatever it was. It feels like there's more, there's like a focus more on the tools and utility here versus that. But maybe that's just me, or maybe I still need to unlock a lot more stuff. I don't know. But that said, the tools Hornet gets feel very good. They use what's the main currency? It's not, apart from rosary beads, the other one, shards.
Oh, it's like shards.
It uses shards, but I mean, you get a fair amount of shards that you can use them pretty liberally.
And I feel like I'm always maxed out on shards all the time.
So because when I realized, I mean, one of the first abilities you get, it's like you can throw like a little. And I was like, man, that uses shards. Like, I'm barely going to use it. I want to accumulate the shards, until you realize that in this game they've sort of separated the currency. Shards is used primarily for your utility stuff, and rosary beads are for everything else. So it's like, oh, you actually can be pretty liberal with how you just throw things out, you know. And I've started doing that. I'm like, well, it's clearly, it's going to make my life a lot easier. Let me start using this. And it feels like they actually do stuff. Like, I've got an ability. I throw like a pinwheel. It acts like a trap. So if an enemy walks into it, it does damage, and it's actually pretty good. Like, I think you get access to like 10 of them. I mean, that can make a huge difference in a boss fight. You know, throwing those out to chip away, like, even if it's a fifth or a quarter of the boss's health, like, it makes a huge difference. That said, the game, I think it feels more challenging than Hollow Knight. And again, like, I played Hollow Knight so long ago now. Like, I might be misremembering. Hollow Knight wasn't easy by any means, but I feel like I'm really have to be on my toes with this game. Like, I died a lot in Hollow Knight as well, but this game, I'm like, oh my god, like, I need to really focus to, you know, not die all the bloody time.
Yeah, I think the opening hours are very indicative of that. It doesn't pull any punches from the get-go, and I understand how that can be frustrating, especially with people who come into this game not expecting that. I think there's a lot of people who are playing Silksong without having never played Hollow Knight, and so that expectation is more on Metroidvania exploration and not necessarily like this Dark Souls sort of approach to difficulty. I think it takes a while to get used to. I do think it is harder than Hollow Knight. Like, I also played Hollow Knight a while ago, but I don't remember being this almost like frightened about every enemy encounter that I'm in. It's a bit brutal, and along, you know, there's a lot of criticism around how enemies take like 2 pips of your health sometimes, and some of the balance, and I get that. Like, there's discussion to be had there, but I don't feel as though it's unfair. I feel as though when I finally get into the rhythm of killing an enemy, it's like, oh, okay, I can do this over and over again. And the game sort of understands that, because enemies that were previously like mini bosses or, you know, enemy arenas start popping up more and more frequently. And so you just kind of like learn how to cope with them a bit more. The one area that I find slightly irritating is the number of flying enemies. I just don't like them. And they really piss me off. There's that one area early on where there's just a bunch of birds that constantly attack you, and that was just incredibly frustrating at certain times. But yeah, I think it's a difficult game, and I think people will either mesh with that or not. I think the one thing that I can agree with a lot of the critique on that I've started running into is there's a lot of runbacks, especially with the bosses. So it's not that there are runbacks, it's just the length of them. There doesn't seem to be very accessible benches near big fights, and so, you know, you have to learn enemy or boss patterns, and you do that through dying quite a bit. And it just feels annoying to have to run through incredibly dangerous areas to get back there, and often I found die along the way. So I think that could be tuned a bit better. I mean, I've read a lot of discussion around how even Dark Souls has moved away from that. Like, you look at Elden Ring, and you had the Stakes of Marika, and like that has completely eradicated runbacks. And I think that's not a case of making games easier. It's just removing unnecessary frustration. So I could see Team Cherry changing that. Like, I could definitely see them patching or altering this where they maybe put benches near bosses. But that is the one aspect currently that I think is maybe a bit too punishing for its own good. But that's like it's a small thing that I'm adapting to. And it's not in any way a game breaker to me. It's not like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to play this game anymore because I'm quite frustrated by that. I think it is just that style of game, and you're either going to like mesh with it or not. You know, but there are small things that I think could be improved in that regard.
Yeah. No, I think I agree with you. Just to go back to what you said earlier about the game is difficult, but at no point I feel that it's unfair necessarily. Like there's a difference between like I don't know how to put that into words, but you get games that are difficult, but they're like fair in how they punish you, versus games where it's like, oh, like this boss one hits you, you're like, but like that's not fun. Like I haven't even learned this boss. Even the fact that it takes 2 pips of damage is like, but it still takes 3 hits before you die. So there's time to like juggle and learn and whatever. I feel that it's fair. Like at no point when I'm dying to a boss, I'm like, oh, I can't believe like a good example is in Elden Ring, like loved Elden Ring. One of the biggest flaws of bosses was Millennia just had one attack that ended
that
you.
Instantly kill you.
It wasn't easy to learn how to dodge that. It's like it took a lot of trial and error before it's like, oh, I should just like run away. Like the moment there's that animation, I need to run. But before that, it was just straight up. There was just no avoiding it, and that frustrated a lot of people. Whereas other bosses, it's like there's this fair balance of you'll get hit once or twice, but you can always heal. You're never going to go from full health to no health unless there's something like an overpowered move, whatever. It's usually telegraphed, and I feel that Silksong's fair in that regard. Like even with the 2 pips of health, you still can take 3 hits. So I think it's on you to like be a little bit more cautious in how you explore. That said, the run back is a friction point. I mean, Elden Ring, even they've learned from like, listen, we'll just put you right outside the boss room. The bosses are harder.
Yeah.
We'll remove the friction of running back to them so you can learn how to fight the harder boss, It's instead of having 2 hours of run backs, we'll make you have 2 extra hours of fighting the boss. But it's just dressed differently. And I think what's the problem here is that getting to the boss is a mission initially, okay? But there's no like, oh, thank God, a bench. Now I can go fight the boss. It's like, oh, this is a boss arena. Oh God, I've died. Oh no. I've got to run back here. Oh, there's no, let me explore around the boss arena. Oh, there's actually no bench around yet. This is just the best way to get to the boss. That's the problem. And that's probably
that's the thing that I thought I was missing. I'm like, surely there's like a shortcut here that I'm like not seeing, and it just doesn't seem that there is. It's like purposefully designed not to be like that, which is just weird.
I think the problem is that you will find there's a shortcut. Like there'll be a level that folds back on itself, but you can only find that after you've fought the boss, for example.
Yes,
which is like
I found that a lot. Yeah. It's the one pain point I've had, and even when it comes to like, so that bird area I was talking about earlier, there's a boss arena there where I frustratingly just hit my head against it. I was like, I need to beat this. Like it's like 3 waves of different bird enemies, but the run back there was like ridiculous, and then on top of it, the scale of the fight was like quite big, so I died many times. I think I spent like an hour plus like just trying to do this, and then the reward at the end wasn't really worth it, but it was satisfying to finally beat that challenge. I just wish that half that time was me being able to actually engage with that challenge rather than like running through 5 or 6 screens of other birds trying to attack the shit out of me, which is slightly annoying. But that's like my biggest pain point currently. That, and it ties in with the runbacks, but you lose a lot of currency when you die and don't recover your little cocoon thing, and the rosary economy is quite brutal. I know it's something they've already patched.
It just sounds funny to say that, like the rosary economy, like, oof, man, times are tough. What did they patch?
So they've made certain things cheaper. So benches to unlock benches and fast travel points. It just be made cheaper. That's kind of them balancing that. And I think that's the right call, because I think early on, just getting to a bench and not being able to unlock it is like feels like shit. It's just not great. But I think it didn't take long for me to not have that issue. But by the same token, it's made like every death very tense because you want to keep those things. And I think that ties into the difficulty. It has to feel tense to make each of these skirmishes feel impactful and meaningful. And that's what I remember from Hollow Knight. So I'm not shying away from that here. I just think there's certain elements that maybe are too difficult for their own good, but it's not detracting from the overall like fun I'm having with the game.
No. I mean, there's a whole discussion to be had about like an easy mode. Like, would it have been impossible for teams at Cherry just to say like, here's an easy mode, every attack just does 1 damage?
Yeah,
like, they could, and I get it. Like, it removes from their vision, and you know, this is how the game's meant to be played. But you immediately turn off people going like, the game's too hard, I'm just not going to play it. It's like, well, you and I will play it the way it's meant to be played, like normal mode, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't take away from my experience to have an easier option for other people. I don't know, in 2025, I know it's a touchy point because people are like, no, like you can't do that. I'm like, even Elden Ring found a way. It's not as on the nose, but the fact that you can have a summon or a group of summons, you can have a mimic tier. It's like, it meant people that would never have played the game have played and loved Elden Ring. I'm like, well, I'm sorry that friends I know are just not going to engage with Silksong because like it's just going to be too hard. I'm like, but you're missing out on one of the most gorgeously animated and like designed games. But I can't be mad at you because I acknowledge it's very difficult.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how, you know, just in our friend circle, there were a couple of people who jumped in on Elden Ring just because of not necessarily how much easier it was compared to other Dark Souls games, but the sort of sense of exploration in the world enticed them to deal with the difficulty. And like you said, there were also tools to kind of mitigate some of that. I wonder, a lot of them are playing Silksong and enjoying it thus far. I'm curious to see if they hit a roadblock where they go, okay, no, this is too much. You know, I really want to keep exploring this world and uncovering its secrets, but like the combat is becoming too much of a sticking point, and then not having options to kind of mitigate that. It's interesting. I think as well, you know, we come from different perspectives in terms of how much free time we have, and I totally understand that some people are like, well, listen, I've got a limited amount of time to play games in the evening or something like that. Like, the last thing I want to do is spend 3 hours fighting one boss, or
for sure.
3 hours fighting one boss, but, you know, 2/3 of that is just running to the boss. Like, I get that. But I also get that Team Cherry wants to make a game in a specific way should be allowed to do that, but it doesn't mean it's free of critique. I think it's a long way of saying, like, Silksong's not a perfect game. I didn't think Hollow Knight was a perfect game. I think it was very close. But I'm still having a fantastic time with it, and I'm not like going, oh God, will I actually finish this game? I'm like, yeah, I absolutely will finish this, but it might just take me a bit longer than I expected.
Yeah. No, I'm the same where but I mean, that's just how I am. I welcome the challenge. I'm like, yes. The more difficult it is, the more I'm like, the stubbornness in me, like, I will beat this game. So perfect for me. I'm all in. Just thoroughly enjoying it. It's
I do want to say quickly, Hornet as a character is very, very cool. I think for 2 reasons. One, seeing her unlock a lot of the abilities that she absolutely like destroyed me with in the first game is really satisfying. I've just unlocked an ability, I guess, you know, mild spoilers here, but you get an attack early on, which is like you throw a big like spear, which consumes some of your silk. But later on, I got that ability where she like hovers in the air and like whips like silk around and damages enemies. Like you can do like 4 or 5 attacks if you just hit an enemy in the middle of that thing and like almost like insta kill them. And that is just really cool because I remember dying to that so often. Fighting her as the vessel, and it's just cool to kind of like turn those attacks on other people and get to use them. Also, secondly, she talks, which I wasn't expecting for some reason. But it makes sense. She talks in Hollow Knight, like she converses with you all the time. Your character, the vessel, just never responded. So it was weird the first conversation I had to see like a character portrait and like, oh, Hornet's like replying to all of these people. Like she actually has agency in the story, which I think is actually really cool. She's got a cool personality.
There's a lot to be said about like a silent protagonist, and I mean, there are times where I absolutely love it. The Half-Life's the perfect example where I'm like, you don't need to talk. Hollow Knight's great example. But there's times where it's misused, where I think I always go to the Dishonored example where it's like, oh, you murdered the princess, and your dude like watched somebody else do it but just says nothing. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's like the dumbest silent protagonist thing, where this is also completely unexpected, but I'm here for it. Hollow Knight, I think, worked because you were just this dude stumbling onto this kingdom where Hornet is this person who's been taken. It's like, what the fuck's going on here? I'm gonna.
It also helped that he was like called the vessel. He had like nothing in him. You know what I mean?
Nothing. This is very cool. It's like she's completely engaging, and you're like, oh, she's actually. I mean, she was like this antagonist in the first game who like slowly you figure out it's like, oh, she's actually an ally, whatever. But it's actually nice to see how compassionate she is. She's like very cold and stoic, but there are times where she's like, no, like you must hide, or like she's very protective and like a lot warmer than I thought she would be. And it's actually really nice to see because I would never have expected that, you know.
Yes, yeah.
So
she's got some cool lines. She's got a bit of attitude, but it's like,
yeah, for sure.
It's not annoying, you know what I mean?
No, it's something I didn't expect from the game. You're right. Nice that she got her own voice.
I'm just watching your footage and I'm curious. Are you using the diagonal or the downward slash? Because the way you like pogoing of people is very impressive.
I'm using a crest, which is a different attack moveset.
Okay. Thought so, because I was like, I can't do that.
No.
I don't know how you're timing that so
no,
perfectly.
I think the diagonal, I used it. I completely used it, and I think I found the best way to mitigate the diagonal is just to use it as close as possible, which I guess defeats the purpose. That said, if you nail it, it can be, pun semi-intended. If you nail the down attack, you can like bounce off enemies, which is very fun. But you'll see, you're going to unlock crests that give you just like different move sets. And I've got 4 of them. I don't know how many the game has. I imagine there's still more, maybe not.
Yeah.
But the one I'm using now, I'm like, this is the best one. I absolutely love it. And it's funny because it to me, it kind of unintentionally, it mimics the Hollow Knight's attacks very similarly with like some different flourishes. And it just feels the best to me at the moment. But I have swapped around.
It's super interesting to me that they included that because I don't know. It's almost like an admission that, oh, maybe this diagonal attack is going to be a bit weirder or harder to use. But I don't know. I haven't got that crest and I'm still getting used to that diagonal.
We'll talk about it when you get it. There's, it's like, feels similar to Hollow Knight, but there's differences to it, which you'll see when you get it.
The one thing that's definitely better in that regard, regardless of what you're using, is just Hornet's animations. She just animates with way more personality than the vessel did. Like the little jumps in the air, the little pirouettes. I think she's just, I can imagine so much time went into just like enhancing what she looks like in motion. And I think my favorite sort of thing, I mean, someone on Twitter pointed it out, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, right, I can't believe I didn't see that first. She mimics so much movement from Alucard in Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
Like the way she like changes direction when you move. She doesn't immediately turn.
Yeah.
It's so good. And I don't know if you've seen videos, but they've compared a lot of movements between Hornet and Alucard, and it's almost like the same character control. And that's really cool because that game just feels phenomenal as well. So it's just it's a neat little touch, and I quite like it. I love how silly she looks when her little dress inflates when you're hovering down, and I love how it twirls as you run, or the little like backflip she does when she kicks off an enemy. It's just really good stuff that I don't tire from seeing.
I mean, when you vault up a ledge and you jump and she does a forward flip, I'm like, this is great.
So good.
It's
so good. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting. There's a lot of little touches I'm still seeing. Like for example, I figured out just that if you sprint, stop, and then jump backwards, she does a backflip.
What?
I'm like, it's just these little touches that you'll either find or not, but the fact that they're there, I'm like, this is incredible.
Yeah,
really, really cool.
I think the thing that I found the other day that I always knew I could deflect. Well, I learned early on that I could deflect attacks. Like if you attack when someone attacks, you parry them almost. But I didn't realize I could do that to like massive boss projectiles. Like I I was in a fight the other day, and what was it? It was like sort of like a mini boss, and they were chucking big daggers at me, and I just realized, if I attack, it doesn't propel it back to them to damage them, but I can completely mitigate having to dodge this thing just by attacking at the right time. And it's like the game never explains that to you.
No.
It just expects you through play to one time attack and notice that you've actually deflected something, which is really cool. And it feels really good.
I don't know about projectiles in Hollow Knight, but you could deflect like
you definitely could,
attacks.
yeah.
But it's interesting because I feel that if I did it in Hollow Knight, it was almost by mistake. Just like, like I just timed that by pure fluke and I deflected that. Whereas I found here, whether intentional or on my part or intentional from a design point of view, I'm pulling it off more. And it's funny because when you fight a boss in this game, for example, in a lot of these games, you find that there's like a rhythm of movements, the thing you learn. So it's like where it's funny how the more you fight a boss, you learn their movements, and your brain does things before you've even, or your body does things before you've even registered. Where it's like, I'm fighting this boss. I'm like, look at me dodge now. I fought this boss a lot now. That the moment I see this, my hands are already moving me away, whatever.
Yes.
And it's cool to get that rhythm. But I found with certain attacks, I'm also like to go back to the deflecting thing, where even in boss fights, I'm like, if I'd like just attack at this specific moment, I'll just quickly deflect it. And like I honestly don't know if this isn't like a compliment to me thing. I don't know if that's an intentional design thing where like they've made it more obvious or easier to pull off. Like I don't know, but it's actually footage I missed. There's one boss fight where, do you remember in Sekiro? There's the one boss you fight where you have to like you deflect a couple times. They do like this quick attack, and you have to deflect it like 1, 2, 3. I mean, you can do that with Hornets. There's some attacks where they're like flailing, whatever, and if you just keep spamming your attack button, you are like ching ching ching, and you deflect.
Yeah, her attacks are incredibly fast.
It feels really good, and I've got some boss footage. I'm like, man, I feel like such a badass. Look at me, just like it's like deflecting this boss, whatever. Yeah, it's so good. Like there's a lot to be said about this game took 7 years to come out, and like what were they doing? And it's like I think it came out. Jason Schreier did an interview with them, whatever. Where they're like, we just didn't have the financial pressure. We just took the time to make this game. It's like you can see that there was no rush. It's like we're just gonna kick back and we're just gonna like put craft into this game, and you can feel it. And it's difficulty. Like our criticisms aside, like you cannot flaw how like masterfully designed this game. Like visually, it's unreal. And that soundtrack,
it's unbelievable.
It's so
good. Is it Christopher Larkin?
Christopher Larkin, yeah.
Yeah, no, he's like outdone himself again. Yeah, I mean the first game's soundtrack is like an all-timer, and I've already been listening to a lot here, and it's just so good. It fits the theme of the game, and I think games like this, they're completely recognizable from across the room. I think we're speaking about Silksong, but I think Hades coming out later this year is the same thing. Like Supergiant has a look to their game and a sound to their game, especially with their soundtracks as well, that is completely theirs. And I think Team Cherry's done that here with Hollow Knight and Silksong. And I think, a lot of the discussion around difficulty could also be attributed to them taking so long with the game. They get so stuck in their ways and understand the game in a way that they don't realize maybe how newcomers might react to that. And I think they could alter that. They might not either. And to me, it doesn't really matter. Like, I'm going to enjoy it on my terms, and if I bounce off of it, I bounce off of it. But knowing how difficult Hollow Knight was, especially with some of the DLCs, I think I'm kind of vibing with this game in the same way, and I'm having a really good time with it.
Yeah. I think we're going to talk about it a lot more.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a long game. It's going to make some appearances in upcoming episodes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I still need to get to it. I need to catch up to where you are even. So, but I'm enjoying having it on Switch. I mean, that's how I played the first Hollow Knight as well. Looks really good, blown up on a screen. Looks good. I mean, my issues aside with the Switch's like actual display, but it seems fine. Like I'm enjoying playing in bed and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've said to you, it's actually been pretty bad for my health having it on Switch. Where I actually laughed. The other day I was chatting to Len. It was like yesterday, the day before. I'm like, I'm just so tired. I'm like exhausted. She's like, why? Why are you so tired? I'm like, I've been going to bed very late. She's like, what time? I'm like, 1:30 every night. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm in bed playing, I'm
Hollow
playing
Knight.
Silksong. She's like, I had no idea. I'm like, well, you pass out and I'm there just for, like, if we climb into bed at like 9, 10, 11, like Lenska passes, I'm like, I'm just going to play some Silksong. It's like 2-3 hours. I'm just chilling like, yes. I mean, I'm all in on this. I'm
No, I
really
get
enjoying
it.
it.
And then you wake up at 6 a.m. and you're just like,
Yeah, I think every morning I've woken up, I'm like, man, I got to go to bed earlier tonight. And then inevitably come bedtime, I'm like, man, I'm just gonna play some Silksong, you know?
yeah, I'm just going to play an hour real quick,
Although
3 hours, 4 hours pass by.
I did not last night because I knew I was getting up this morning. I was like, I need to just have at least a couple hours of good sleep. So
Look at the sacrifices you make for the good of the podcast.
yeah, I climbed into bed and I read instead of playing Silksong, and I slept at a normal time. So go me.
Look at you. Look at you. Responsible.
Yes, yeah.